Ladies and gentlemen, Principal ASAP, Ms. Nancy Williams.
Good morning, everyone. We are an IT business solutions company servicing 42 states with consultants throughout the U.S., India, and Canada. We are a proud sponsor of the Excalibur Awards because we believe it is so important to celebrate technology innovation occurring every day right here in our own state. I'm pleased to have the pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, Janet Sherlock, SVP and CIO at Carter's. Carter's operates the Carter's OshBeGosh brands, two of the oldest and largest and most recognized branded marketers of baby and young children's apparel in the U.S. Based on the belief that childhood is a celebration, their brands are all about creating products for children that are distinguished by quality. They are proud to provide trusted products and services, making solutions for real life and keeping life simple for their customers is what really matters. Prior to joining Carter's, Janet was a research director for AMR Research, now a division of Gartner Research. Janet also held CIO roles and senior leadership positions in various companies, including Calico Corners, Guess Inc., Arco AM/PM, and Mobil Oil. Janet has a BS in Business Logistics from the Pennsylvania State University and an MBA from Marymount University. Carter's is not widely known for its production technology, but its technological strengths and expertise has enabled it to become an incredible force in their industry. So we are pleased to hear from Janet today as we honor companies who have also used technology in an innovative way to change how they do business. Please give a warm welcome to Ms. Janet Sherlock.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2012 Excalibur keynote speaker, Ms. Janet Sherlock.
Good morning. Thank you for that introduction, Nancy. And one thing she didn't mention, this is my first time attending the Excalibur Awards, actually my first time at a TAG event. And this is the first time that someone from Carter's has spoken at a TAG event. And I know a lot of you, someone had actually made the comment before saying, we don't hear a lot about Carter's. So just to orient you a little bit to the organization, I've got two short videos to start out with that I think will help assimilate you to the Carter's brand. The first is a commercial that will be airing. You're the very first group to see this commercial. It'll be airing on Monday, I think, during The Voice. And then the second is a little holiday clip that'll just be present online. So if you could just roll those videos, please.
I was born on a cold September Sunday. When you brought me home, it was a whole new world. That first night was a doozy, but you got the hang of it, and so did I. And together we grew and grew and grew. Some days were fussy, but others were all smiles. And even now, many moons later, when you hold my hand, I hold it right back. Because the day I became yours, you became mine. From the first night home to the first day of school, and every first in between. Count on Carter's.
A little bit about our brand portfolio. As Nancy had mentioned, our namesake brand is Carter's, and it's been around since 1865. And it's known that the brand positioning is good product, better product, a value product. You can go into our stores and literally you will pick up tons of product because it is actually very high quality and very affordable. The target consumer is first-time moms and moms that have babies up to 2 years old. The size range does go from 0 to 6X. And the OshBeGosh brand, Carter's acquired, I believe, in 2005. It was founded in 1895, so two very long-term brands. And it's a better and premium brand, target to kids 2 to 7 years old. old. Both of those brand names have nearly 100% brand recognition, and on the Carter's brand with 81% repeat purchase, and on the Oshkosh brand 78% repeat purchase. Our brands are, as I mentioned, Carter's and Oshkosh. We also have some other brands, Child of Mine by Carter's, which is marketed in Walmart stores, exclusively for Walmart, and Just One You by Carter's, which is branded exclusively for Target. These are our 2011 results. We posted just over $2.1 billion in sales in 2011. That was up 21% versus the prior year. The significance of this slide really shows the diversity of our offerings, which is largely 50% retail, 50% wholesale, which makes my job a little bit more challenging. It's as opposed to the Gap or Abercrombie or one of those companies where it's a pure play retail, having a wholesale business as well as a retail business, as well as a licensing business, as well as an international business, really ups the ante as far as the challenge goes. But the Carter's namesake brand is really the bulk of our sales, with Oshkosh growing though on a year-over-year basis. Yesterday we had our earnings call, and someone had handed me a clip and said, "Oh, nice performance in Q3 for Carter's." Yeah, we had 72% increase year over year on earnings. So we are on track for a really, really nice 2012 at this point. It is, the Carter's and Oshkosh brands are the largest share of a very large $22 billion U.S. market of children's and baby clothing. A little bit update, this is 16%. I think that was in 2011. At this point, I think it's 17%. Carter's is 3 times larger than its next nearest competitor. So great presence in the space and phenomenal market share. I love this slide. This is just it really makes me feel like I'm part of a great organization with a great track record. This shows our performance in sales from 2000 to 2011, and you can see that it was I think a 15% compound annual growth rate through 2011, and at this point we're tracking in 2012 to have our 24th consecutive year of growth. On the operating income side, it's 2011 had a little bit of a dip because commodity pricing, cotton prices were very high the year before, so that was reflected in our product costs. But we're on track, as I'd mentioned earlier, for 2012 to be a much, much better year. Some of the largest retailers sell our products. We have over 17,000 points of distribution at Target, Walmart, as I mentioned, Kohl's, Babies R Us, Costco, Penny's, Macy's, Belk, Dillard's. We're very pleased about our presence in the retail marketplace. And just in case you haven't been into a Carter's store, this is what it looks like. It's very clean, very friendly, a very nice atmosphere. And I stuck this picture in because it's got the Halloween costumes in it, or it's that time of the year. I did pull one slide for the Oshkosh B'gosh brand, but this is from the United Arab Emirates. So it kind of shows you that we do a pretty good job of even when we're not directly operating our brand outside of the U.S. in certain places, that we do a good job as far as our holding to the brand and our licensing arrangements. Our international opportunity, we acquired a Canadian retail company in 2011 and operate 80 doors in Canada and are growing 18 to 20 doors per year there. And we are actively evaluating some other very interesting international markets right now as we speak for retail opportunities. We have a significant wholesale and licensing international presence. We are present in more than 40 different countries, and we're looking for new partnerships all the time. E-commerce, earlier this year, we've started to fulfill sales internationally to nearly 90 countries in 40 40 different currencies. About 37% of our traffic online comes from international traffic as well. Where I've got one of the projects we've got on our queue is to build out a Canadian e-commerce website, and then of course we're evaluating other potential international e-commerce opportunities. So our presence here in Georgia, this is our global headquarters. I've just recently, about 2 weeks ago, Carter's announced that we would be moving our retail and finance headquarters, which is currently in Shelton, Connecticut, down to the Georgia area. I've been inundated with calls from headhunters. I can help you with that. I can help you with that. So once again, that's retail and finance for the most part, but we do have an IT contingency that supports those functions that will be moving here to the Atlanta area. We opened this past summer a 1.2 million square foot facility in Brazelton, I'm not sure if I pronounced it. It's a place that Kim Basinger used to own or something like that at some point. That opened in July 2012. At this point, that is a facility that right now just services one of our channels, which is e-commerce. We've internalized from a third-party logistics company. We've taken in our fulfillment and increased our capacity and our ability to service our customers tremendously. This was a huge endeavor for us this summer, and my team did a phenomenal job of delivering the technology to make this happen. In addition to that, we are right now actively working on a project to highly automate this facility to also incorporate our retail and our wholesale channels. It's going to have the state-of-the-art technology, material handling, warehouse management technologies in this facility by back half of next year. Very exciting. Our IT headquarters is in Fayetteville, Georgia. People don't even know that anything below the 20 exists, but Fayetteville, Georgia is pretty much next to Peachtree City. The largest concentration of IT employees, mostly the engineering group, the infrastructure group, and some of the development, the DBAs sit down in Fayetteville. There are a lot of IT folks that are in the headquarters in Atlanta. So we have, continuing on the IT side, we have 2 data centers, one in Fayetteville and one in Griffin. We have some other presence in Georgia as well. We have a large DC as well in Stockbridge, Georgia. But for the most part, this is our presence. So, it's been really interesting because I've got a couple of dozen employees that I'm trying to lightly convinced to move to Atlanta from Connecticut. And you don't want to push too much because people's personal lives are obviously more important than than the job, and you want them to make the right choice. But I've been telling them, as far as the technology community goes, it just does not get better than Georgia. I've been, I've lived many places in the country before, and I've always been involved in my verticals. I'm very involved with the retail industry. I'm also involved in the apparel and footwear manufacturers industries, and have always aligned with those my colleagues in those areas. Never before have I actually, kind of hung out and got involved with the local community. So this is just a phenomenal place to be in technology. Is in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I do find a few things a little odd about Georgia. I was just outside, and I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh is, it's a beer-drinking, hard-working, I love my sports, city of champions kind of place. We love our Steelers. It's out-footballed here. It's unbelievable. I was in the hallway and someone said, "Oh, what football team do you follow?" I'm like, "I don't follow a football team. I don't do that." I was wearing this dress a couple of months ago. It's a color block dress. It's black and red. 3 people that day said something to me like, "Oh, I love the Georgia dress." And as Nancy said, I was the retail CIO in Guess, and I still support that brand. I've got this belt. It's got a big G on it. And I think 6 people that day said, "Oh, I love the Georgia belt." I'm like, oh. So the football thing is a little much, y'all. It really is. The world does not revolve around football. My wardrobe certainly does not revolve around football. The other thing I think is, and I'll apologize right up front if this is really not a Georgia thing or an Atlanta thing. Maybe this is a trend that's sweeping the nation. I'm not really sure, but I was solicited last week. One of a huge vendor contacted me and said, "Hey, do you want to attend a skeet shooting function?" And no. And I was thinking, I got some emails, a bunch of emails a couple of months ago that was advertising an event called Geeks with Guns. Geeks with Guns. Who thinks that this is a good idea? I think history has repeatedly shown us that geeks with any type of weaponry is a bad idea. Vendors, sponsors, stick with golf, please. So to orient you to what we do at Carter's as an IT function, because once again, if you're not vertically inclined, you really, I don't really know what it takes to run the Gwinnett school system or what it takes to do a few of the things you do. But what we do in retail is we support a couple of key areas. When I looked at the slide, I was like, wow, this makes our job look kind of easy at Carter's, but it's not, trust me. We support our retail operations, which is everything that happens within the store framework and everything that happens outside that makes our retail environment run. So that's point of sale systems, merchandising systems, planning and allocation systems, replenishment systems, CRM, things that aren't listed on there, sales audit, loss prevention, those type of things. In addition, because we manufacture our own product, not directly, we do it through factory relationships, but we do have art and design and product development. We do our line planning, figure out what goes with what, and the sourcing and the production, the bill of materials, logistics, the order management systems where we take our orders from Kohl's and Penny's, and then our warehouse management systems, which actually ships those goods. And then the things that probably we all have in common here, which is our financial systems, HR systems, business intelligence, and the core infrastructure, networking, data center, and operations. That really does sound simple. There's licensing and there's real estate and there's a lot of other things, but anyway, that's the core. It has been an evolution since I've joined Carter's and the company itself. So to follow along, in the year 2000, the company was under $500 million, and it was very wholesale-centric. So even whenever they did ship goods to the retail stores, they shipped it as though it was like a Kohl's. So they would just get loaded with product a couple of times a year, and they had lots of backstock. It wasn't really very well organized, not a good replenishment program. In 2005, they acquired the Oshkosh brand. So that was a pretty quick step up of rapid growth there. In 2010 is when we launched e-commerce, and we really started to take a retail focus in 2009 and 2010. That's when we implemented our CRM platform and really took a focus on our retail operations. We're continuing our growth now is much more international. So, the step-ups on the slide here really show the point. And it shows in 2000, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not one of those kind of people that says, oh, well, this is what it was like before I got there, and since I've been there, it's great. But the order-taking mentality was prevalent at Carter's, even whenever I got there. So it's listed there as 2000. It was a very the business areas owned their own IT budget. They bought their systems, and when they wanted to, they'd call the IT department and say, we're going to implement a T&E system. We're going to implement time and attendance. We're going to implement a distribution system. And you need to be in a meeting with this vendor on Tuesday and install it, thanks. So that was really the mentality until not very long ago. As a result, there were lots of disparate systems because each department owned their own system. I mean, heck, even the art department bought their own digital asset management system. Well, we have tons of digital assets at Carter's between design and marketing and e-com and a host of licensing. So if one department had its own digital asset management, everyone was, so that's really been a focus of my team and I over the past several years, which is, trying to take things and make it very enterprise-worthy. making it so that, one channel's not doing one thing and another channel's doing another thing. We've really had to transform the organization to make this happen. We've had to hire in a lot of business analysts, and Nancy and her team have helped, and several others. I think there's a few other recruiters here I think that have helped as well. And so we've really had to shore up the organization. And so what I'm showing there is where we're going into 2013, 2015 is really kind of what we're doing now. Governance and value chain emphasis, and really stepping up our technology. Because of our low AUR, average unit retail, and our high transaction volume, we have a lot of data, a lot of storage. And so we're really having to step up our technology that we're using to manage that. We're finally now, probably a lot of you are already on the bus, the enterprise service bus. We're instituting that right now as we're speaking. We've had to increase our bandwidth. We've had to do a lot of things to shore up our basic technology framework and to step up our organization. So it has been an evolution and continues to be. Moving from an order-taking organization into one that is focused on service and delivery and strategic partnership is indeed a journey. So these Excalibur Awards, once again, this is my first one here. The focus is on creativity, and so I was going to say last night. Well, yeah, all right, got to cop to it. I was doing this last night at midnight. So I was looking online at some academic research on creativity, and I saw several different sources refer all to the same place, which is the entrepreneurial managerial unit at Harvard Business School. So I was reading this document about creativity, and it talked about creativity in amongst children and how they grow into adults, and then in the business world, what really is creativity is involved. Then I looked on Wikipedia, and I found out I could have saved myself a heck of a lot of time just going on Wikipedia because the same stuff was on there. So Wikipedia, the source of all knowledge. Anyway, so creativity is, according to this, and I believe that this is true, has three key areas that, and the confluence of those is what creativity is. And the first is expertise, and that's knowledge, whether it's technical or procedural knowledge of things. Then there are creative thinking skills. Your approach to solving problems. And then last is motivation, whether it's intrinsic or extrinsic, mostly intrinsic motivation. And, the other thing that this research was showing was there is this thought that the creativity is driven from the top. You've got your leaders and they're driving the creativity. And that's really not the case. If you think about yourself, or rather think about your own organizations, probably a lot of that creativity is driven from the individual contributors or from the base of your organization and actually bubbles up. That's probably a lot of what the real creativity is coming from. And I was thinking back to my career and when I was a little bit more creative, because oh my goodness, my creativity is just like gone to hell in a handbasket. I think children, marriage, middle age, and too much red wine has completely thwarted my creative thinking skills. But when I was an individual contributor and I think I was a little bit more fast with things, I was thinking back into I'm going to tell a story back in the early 90s, which is kind of pathetic because when I would interview people in 2004 and 2005 for jobs, and I'd ask them about their successes, and they would say, "Oh, Y2K," I'd be like, "Oh, tell me something. Come on, give me something new and relevant." So I'm going to tell you a story from the early 90s. So that makes me not very relevant, but. I was on special assignment. This was before I even went into IT, and I was still a merchant at that time. I was with Mobil Oil, and I was the category manager for health and beauty care and some candy products and some tobacco products as well. And I know. You saw those videos. I'm babies now, happy. Before it was cigarettes and. Actually, in my cubicle, I kid you not, I had a condom rack in my cubicle because that was and a chew tobacco rack in my cubicle when I did this job. Anyway, I was on special assignment to assist the IT group with doing some enablement. We were really trying to modernize our environment with technology, and so I helped them out. I was supposed to be the business expert, and we did a lot of things. We actually started scanning. So I think at that point, just about every retailer was scanning. I think everyone except Trader Joe's at that point. So we were scanning. We instituted something called CAO, computer assisted ordering, which was an ordering process, like a rudimentary replenishment process. And I also helped them set up the first EDI with some of their vendors for orders. And the last thing that I was assigned to do was work on planogramming. I don't know if you're familiar with planogramming. Those are the things, if you go into like a store, you go into a CVS or any place, you'll see it's a picture that shows the associates where to actually stock things. You'll see them whenever they're doing inventory, they'll post them up and you'll look at those. So I was in charge of selecting a planogramming technology and implementing it. So I'd gotten that done, and we had this new store concept that was called On the Run at the time, but Exxon acquired mobile, so I don't know if there's too many of those around anymore, but we were adding on hundreds of those in a given year. So I got my planogram, and I was giving it to the new store opening person, and she got it. She said, "Oh, this is going to be so helpful because I've got to put in my initial order for the store that's opening, and that's like a 2-day process." I was like, listening, I thought, I have the planogram, so I know all the products are going to be there. I know we have a computer-assisted ordering system that has the presentation stock on it. I know we have EDI processes, so I said, hold off on doing that. And I pulled something together where I put the presentation stock into the planogramming system, and we were able to actually, and I know, but literally a push of a button, create the order that would do our initial orders. So when we implemented hundreds of stores that year, I saved literally people hours and hours of time and a great process for initial orders. So if you think about it, I used my expertise. I had just instituted a couple of different programs with the company and had knowledge of that. I used my creative thinking skills to link a couple of things together. And then what was my motivation? Nobody made me do it. Nobody even asked me to do it. It was the fact that I had one of my peers, one of my colleagues, who was saying, "Oh, man, I just wish this was easier." And I had that gene in me that said, I want to make a difference. I want to make this better. That's that intrinsic motivation. I see it in my organization all the time. Right now, the team is working on something. I shouldn't even talk about it. It's kind of a super secret project that's going on. So right now, we're going to holiday. And in retail, Walmart, it's different. But in specialty retail, we run DSL connections into most of our facilities. And you pull on a nightly basis. So they close the registers and you pull the sales. Some specialty retailers are trickle pulling, where they get that on a periodic basis. Most specialty, you pull once a day. We're working on an initiative to do trickle pulling, but we're not there yet. We'll get that. That's on our docket for next year. So this year, I know you all, after Thanksgiving, you'll be, having your pumpkin pie, and then you'll be watching football. Oh my gosh, we'll all be watching football, I'm sure. And my team and I will be up all night, and we'll all be freaking out, where all the systems running, because we're open all night. It's Black Friday. It's our big day. It's our Super Bowl. So in retail, so what happens is the stores literally call their district managers every 2 hours and give them the sales. Then the district managers call the regional managers, and then the regional managers call someone at headquarters, and they pull all this because they want to know, are we going to need to replan more stores? Are we tracking? What are we doing? What's going on? It's like literally an hour-by-hour basis. Well, my team said, this is a problem. This is a big zapper of an issue. So they're actually right now going through a process where they're pulling the stores they're just tapping onto the hard drive of all the point of sale, picking out what the sales are, and then my BI team has created a lovely dashboard so they can look at this. So it's going to save hours and hours of time and create just a great process. Hopefully, our retail team doesn't know about this yet, so you guys know about it before they do. But it's what was their motivation? They saw a problem. They have their users. They know how difficult this is. They know how important the Black Friday is. And they want to make a difference. That's their motivation. That's it. We have things all the time. My other teams, They're seeing like our line planning process, and there's like a little process at the end that's just missing. Why is that? Let's fix that. Let's take care of that. I love the fact that my team really, looks at a problem and says, I'm going to make this better for you. So the individual contributors and a lot of the folks that work for you are the ones that are really driving that creativity. They're the ones that are really solving those problems. As leaders, what is it that we do? Once again, according to the scholars at Harvard, these are the 6 things managerial practices to encourage motivation. The first is challenge, to ensure that folks are in the right kind of assignments. Freedom, giving people the autonomy to choose the means to achieve their goals. The resources, time, money, space, work group features, diversity, make sure that the teams are cohesive, supervisory encouragement, recognition, cheering, praise, and organizational support. And we have so many of those that are hitting us at any given time. Negativity among team members. I think that nothing can zap creativity more than when you have a person who's they want to come up with a great idea. They're trying to bring them forth. And you have those people, we tried that 6 years ago. That doesn't work. Or, no, that's not going to work because X, Y, and Z. You know those people who are just so negative? They are such an impediment to creativity and to moving the ball forward. User misalignment. It's funny. If you really think about your user community, and you really think about each of the constituencies that you support, it's really likely that you're going to have conflict with them, in all honesty. If you think about that, think about when your user community on the business is more capable than your IT support is. What does that cause? That causes your your IT group to be an order-taking organization. What happens when your team in IT is more capable than the business community? And they're schizophrenic with their requirements, and they won't sign off on UAT test, the test scripts. What does that result in? That results in it's an IT project. It's an IT-driven thing. What happens whenever both are low in capabilities? Nothing happens. Nothing happens. So, the times when those cross-sections meet their happy place, or whenever you're performing at a high level, is actually pretty rare if you think about it. So your organizations and trying to support your organizations is more likely going to be a challenge than to not be a challenge. The good news is I believe the creativity under any of those circumstances is highly possible. But the issue is when there's too much conflict, that's when you need to remove those derailers. Encourage collaboration. I think that collaboration amongst your teams is so important. I got an example. We were instituting our Bring Your Own Device program, and a few of the folks from our infrastructure team were looking at the mobile device management providers. Simultaneously, the retail team was starting to roll out iPod iTouches to the stores, and they were talking to their depot service about doing a full managed service for getting those units configured and distributed and managed. And they talked, and they're like, well, you're going to do iPod iTouches that need some sort of MDM. We're going to be doing this on a corporate basis. So they collaborated and came up with a solution using one of our providers. So it's used now on an enterprise basis. Our third party that does manage service for us uses our MDM solution. So that way now we have leverage across the organization, economy of scale, it's from a cost benefit standpoint, it's been very helpful. Celebrate the small successes. What's so funny is this is my first TAG award, so I said, well, who are the nominees and what are they getting nominated for? They wouldn't even tell me, so I don't even know. But I'm expecting big things. I'm sure these awards that are coming up in the Georgia Gwinnett College. Everything doesn't have to be the the knock everything off your socks, come up with the killer app, come up with the whatever. It doesn't have to be the biggest things. As a matter of fact, in retail, it's ever so slightly depressing. The technology giants, Apple, Amazon, who neither had good days yesterday. They didn't post very good quarters. But Apple, Amazon, eBay, Facebook, Google, all companies that are either retailers in their own right or tangential retailers or provide some sort of support into the retail industry. Those companies juxtaposed to the top retail companies, which is Walmart, Home Depot, who is up for an award. I don't know what for because no one would tell me. It's a super secret apparently. But so Walmart, Home Depot, Costco, Target, and Walgreens. While the revenues are double those retail companies over those technology companies have double the net income of those retail companies and 4 times plus the cash on hand. So I don't delude myself in thinking that my industry is going to actually drive retail innovation. Those companies are. There's not going to be us. I don't let that get me down, though. In the late 90s, early in 2000 decade, we all of us in retail, once again, coming at holiday time, we're all focusing on, we got to put in line buster technology. That was using a handheld. So when you had a queue in your store, the notion was to be able to take a handheld device, scan somebody, have the payment sitting in queue. So when you got up to the register, all you had to do was actually execute the payment. So that was the line busting technology using mobile devices. Every year, somebody would have their pilot. Okay, next year's going to be the big year. We're all going to be doing line busting. It's going to be a great holiday. We're going to do line busting. It never happened. Who comes along? Apple stores. They have no cash wraps, no point-of-sale registers, just their handheld devices. Well, all of us in retail, we're like penguins. Someone else is jumping in the water, we jump right in with them. So we're all now engaged in mobility and rolling out mobile point of sale. Nordstrom's, no longer any fixed registers. And Urban Outfitters has announced no more fixed registers for them. We rolled out iPod iTouches to our stores, which will eventually become registers. But is it that big of a deal that Apple is the one that led this creativity and led this innovation for our industry? No. Yeah, because Nordstrom, quite frankly, their tablet application, they get to use for clienteling, which, Apple maybe doesn't do. So there's creativity in what they're doing. I'm not upset about the creativity. The devices that I'm using for the little handheld devices versus the traditional, which I won't say the names of the competitors, the traditional handheld devices run quadruple the amount of those Apple devices. So I'm saving a ton of money, and I'm going to put on functions that are going to be state-of-the-art functions for my own organization. So it doesn't always have to be that you're the leader or a massive big change. The small things make a difference as well. Creating recognition and influence for your team as a leader in the IT industry. This is probably one of the most important things you can do. A girlfriend of mine was the president of Great Go Baby, which is a new Rubbermaid company, which is based here. That's why she's no longer the president. Is her position moved down here, and she did not want to move to the Atlanta area, which is a lovely area, but she just couldn't because of her family situation. She had made a comment to me one time saying, I feel so bad for you technology folks, because in all honesty, you can be in a presentation with executive leadership and everything is, what's the opportunity? What's the opportunity? And then it's, what's the result? What's the result? What do we do? We do all the crap that's between is what we do. So it's not sexy. The executives don't really necessarily have a handle on it. They don't necessarily even care, quite frankly. Within my own organization, I do have to say, once again, it's a journey for me and it's an evolution. And Carter's really, it's taking a while for it to really realize culturally just how important technology is to it. And it's like a dagger to my heart sometimes. I don't know if you recall the earnings, there's a quiz on this later, the earnings growth, our earnings have been really phenomenal. And I know, the commodity pricing, really brought us down in 2011. In 2012, we're once again making phenomenal earnings. And a big chunk of that is in our retail business. And it's from the means by which we're doing replenishment and allocation into our stores. And I will hear like our CEO and our top leadership say, oh, thanks to the retail team and thanks to the supply chain team for instituting all these great processes. Who do you think did the heavy lifting to get this done? We literally did 80% of the work. 80% of the work. They would not be recognizing, those numbers would not be on the board without us. So, I have a lot of work to do in that regard. And I know you're like, well, what are you doing? Make sure everybody knows about that. All right, geeks with guns. I'm working on that. I'm working on that. Like I said, that's part of my evolution at Carter's, is to really try to make the rest of the organization and our executives really understand the power of what we do for the organization. And I think the most important thing is build a team with those that are possessing that intrinsic motivation. There's nothing more that you can do than to infuse your organization with that passion. Those people who want to make the difference. Those people who want to solve the problems for your business users. I know about building teams of people who are smarter than you. I'm a CIO with big blonde hair. Of course I know I've got to have people smarter than me on my team. But having those people that are passionate and really, really just want to do the right thing is even more important. So I'm a huge, the only music that I listen to is like alternative rock, and in the 80s, like Echo and the Bunnymen and REM, and there was a group called Ultravox, and they had a song that had a line in it that was, give me your vision and I'll make the best of it. Oh, and in the 80s, so I not only had big blonde hair, but it was also like asymmetrical too. But give me your vision and I'll make the best of it. That's what you want. You want to surround yourself with people who are going to take your vision and make the best of it. Take your user's vision and make the best of it. Take your company's vision and make the very best of it. And that's really, really, really what the creativity was going to inspire creativity in your organization. So I think with that, before we take questions, we're taking questions. Before that, I've got a few folks on my team who are here, and I just want to thank you from the very bottom of my heart. I know I bust chops a lot, and I'm pretty difficult to deal with. So thank you very much for your hard work, for your creativity, and for putting up with me. You guys you rock. You're amazing, and I thank you from the very bottom of my heart. And for my vendor partners that are here, I thank you for your support and for some of your sponsorship here. We couldn't do what we do without you. As the TAG Awards are, we run best in class technology. We don't really do our own development. So we couldn't do what we do without the partnership of our vendors. So thank you very much. I've enjoyed being here tremendously, and I think we're taking a question or two. Couple questions? Okay. I'm tired of hearing myself. I can't imagine you have anything you want to ask me. But anybody have any questions?
You commented on the kind of point solutions that the various departments had early and over the last 10 years, and how you changed that to more of an enterprise focus. Mm-hmm. How has that affected your vendor selection process, and can you comment on how you go through vendor selection with that mindset? Yeah,
actually, one of the things I think that I had in the deck was we have a rigorous process now for vendor selection. Before, we didn't really have an RFP process. Right now, as it stands, there are standards in place that users are not to engage in any kind of technology reviews or contracts or assessments without involving the IT department. And there are requirements for pulling together RFPs, and we actually have a pretty rigorous process for that for vendor selection. And if somebody tries to slip one by on me, the accounting folks and the legal folks, they've got my back. So if someone even has something that smells like technology in it, they're reining me into the conversation.
I have a question about your BYOD policies.
Yes.
There's a huge push in that area, and a lot of companies kind of jump into the deep end of the pool, and they don't really do an assessment. How did you guys come to develop your policy?
Well, and I feel badly. There's a couple of people I owe my policy. I share my policy. I'm happy to give it to anybody. What we did was, and I benchmarked with a ton of companies, a ton of local companies here. Thank you very much, local Atlanta community, and also with my peer group. So like Peer One, I'm good friends with the CIO there. They made it mandatory for their smartphones. We took a little bit of a different approach, and we also said your contract has to be expired for the device you're on, and it's voluntary. So we knew we wouldn't have that big push to start out with, so we were able to actually get ourselves up and running first. And we are just we've added tablets on as well to our program. So I think it's just inherently the way we approached it. It has just taken, it's sort of grown organically, and we sort of projected out it was going to do that. And the policy, if anybody wants it, I'm always happy to share it. But the policy is blessed by our legal department, blessed by our HR department, and we feel it's very beneficial to both our employees as well as to Carters. We stay cost net neutral. The reason we're doing this is because we want a better work environment and more flexibility for our employees.
I would like to get a copy of that, Tom.
Yeah, well, yes. No, not a problem. Oh, can I cop to something for a second? Is there any more questions? Well, so I have to really be honest about something. So I suffer from a debilitating affliction called lyricosis. I don't know if anybody knows what lyricosis is. Whenever you don't really know the lyrics for a song. So like there was a song like a Fleetwood Mac song. You remember it was like White Winged Dove or something like that. Not in the genre that I listen to, but I thought it was. And if I ever sing it to myself, I always say One Winged Dove because that's what I thought that they said. Anyway, the song that I referenced. The words really aren't "give me your vision and I'll make the best of it." It's "give me an inch and I'll make the best of it." But that wouldn't have made as good of a story. So, but I thought that I say those same words because I have lyricosis. I don't care if I'm saying the wrong words. I say whatever it is I want to say when I'm singing. So I'm singing to myself loud in the car. I sound really good. So, anyway. Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming and speaking. We greatly appreciate it. Before I ask my question, I do have a comment, though, because I grew up in North Carolina, grade school and college, and my experience when I transitioned to Georgia was a little different than yours. When I would wear my Carolina blue or my East Carolina purple and gold, I didn't receive compliments. So be fortunate that you received some compliments, but thank you again. But to my question, and I'm using technology, and I'm going to read my question to make sure I don't mix up my words here. But what skills should Georgia universities and technical colleges be focused on to meet the needs of Carter in 2013 and beyond?
I think that, and I don't really like big hype terms that are used in the industry, but I really do think that there's something about the notion of big data is really on a hype curve. I'm not quite sold, but in deep down inside, I really do believe. My BI guy's here someplace, and he was talking about we've got to set something up with the marketing team so we can mine what our CRM database and take our likes and understand what these people are doing outside. So it's just so so incredibly big and so powerful. What we can do, not just on the social network, but on so many other aspects. And I think that, and there's some other things we're working on that I can't really talk about that are, I think, very, very, very cool. And it's really involving modeling. I think that, and we were having another discussion at our table about women in technology, and I have to say, the one thing I encourage everyone to do is to really, really, really engage in mathematics. I think that it's going to be more important over the next several years than ever before. It's really going to be a skill that is going to be required. So the quantitative business analysis, mathematics, and modeling, I think, are going to be just unbelievable skills over the next couple of years, amongst other things too. The regular technological skills. But I think that's going to be a burgeoning area of growth in our space.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you all, and congratulations to the winners so far, and good luck to the nominees and that are coming up. Thank you very much.
Janet, thank you so much for your speech today. It was wonderful. And I just want to point out, this has two functions here. Number one, it's an award for you speaking. Number two, it's worked well for me. I have a sign hanging on mine in my office that says, break glass in case of missed deadlines. So that really works well.
Wow.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you very much.